convert GDP to purchasing power parity terms, we are at $4.4 trillion, which is a more relevant indicator to what we can buy. However, because of India's large population, per capita income was $3,700 per person, as against Canada, which has a per capita income of $40,000 per person and a GDP of $1.3 trillion. Please note the growth rate of India has been quite aggressive even during recessionary times at between 7 and 8% every year. This is a table that I put together which shows you the rankings of the world. The European Union is number 1 in terms of global GDP, followed by the US, China, and then followed by India. Canada, if you can see, is at number 14 at the moment. Industrial sectors, the vital sectors as far as India is concerned are steel, engineering and machine tools, electronics, and textiles is the single largest employer in the Indian industry. I think it accounts for 1/3 of exports, and I think it almost takes up half of India's labor force. So it's a very, very key sector as far as India is concerned. And the public sector, the government is very active in steel, heavy engineering, aerospace, infrastructure, and so on. In fact, there was a client in Halifax who was trying to see how they can enter, how they can get contracts from the defense sector for a couple of products that they have, which are state-of-the-art scanning products, which can be used in deep-sea mining. So there are lots of opportunities that can be seen from the public sector as well. Automobiles and auto components. Chennai is now being called the Detroit of India. It's a leading supplier of automobile components to most of the large manufacturers out of the world. Ford and Hyundai in specific have got giant-sized plants in my home city, and there are a complete slew of ancillary industries in Chennai, in Pune, in New Delhi. And India is also known for the Tatas. Tata Motors has produced the cheapest car in India. I think this was on display last year at the trade show downtown. The cheapest car available at just $2,500, the Nano. And interestingly enough, the Tatas are also known for their cars at the top end of the segment. They also own the Land Rover and Jaguar brands. Services, the services sector, as I told you before, it constitutes 55% of our GDP. We are very, very well known for our advancements in information technology, IT-enabled services, financial services, hotels and restaurants, communication, and so on. India also has one of the largest single pools of engineers in the world, and it keeps churning out engineers at a frenetically fast pace. Agriculture. While we've been talking about services and industry, agriculture has always been one of India's mainstays. India, for those of you who are interested in buying or selling agricultural produce, India is the largest producer of milk, cashew nuts, coconuts. I think it's the second largest now after Indonesia. Tea, ginger, turmeric, and black pepper. I just brought out a couple of crop here. It's also the second largest producer of wheat, rice, sugar, peanuts, and inland fish. Having said that, India is a huge buyer of vegetables from Canada. Canada-India trade. Canada and India have shared a very, very warm and strong relationship from time immemorial. And over the last 6 years, there has been a very sharp increase in activity between Canada and India. Prime Minister Harper visited India in 2009. This was followed by a visit by Prime Minister Manmohan Singh to Canada in 2010. Canada had just 3 trade offices as of 2005 in India. And this has shot up sharply from 3 to 9 in the span of the last few years. Therefore, you can see Canada certainly takes India very seriously as far as this partnership is concerned. India, again, has about 1 million of her people in Canada now. Therefore, opportunities abound in that aspect as well. Indian foreign direct investment in Canada as of 2010 was $6.6 billion. Canada, on the other hand, is lagging here. We've only invested about $600 million till now in the Indian economy. So opportunities certainly are available. And merchandise trade between India and Canada in total was $4.1 billion with Canadian exports at 2.1 billion as of 2010. Major exports to Canada from India: organic chemicals, precious stones, knit apparel, woven apparel, and machinery. Major exports from Canada into India: I think the Potash Corporation's one of their largest clients is India. Though I still think India would be number 2 as far as their clients are concerned. I think China is larger. India also is a major importer of newsprint from Canada. Extremely high quality newsprint comes in from Canada to India. And India also buys a lot of vegetable and staples from Canada. In fact, when I was there last year, I think we picked up one single consignment of 6,000 metric tons of corn because India was running short of the product. Copper, dried shell lentils, asbestos, flight simulators, and polymers of ethylene are other major exports from Canada. Canada-India trade, bilateral trade is expected to increase to 15 billion from 4 billion in the next 5 years. Anand Sharma is India's Union Minister of Industries. Ed Fast is Canada's International Trade Minister. And we are developing something called the Comprehensive Economic Partnership Agreement, or CEPA. CEPA should most probably be finalized sometime during 2013. And this will give Canada an open door into India and India an open door into Canada. Canadian exports of forest products, nickel, aircraft, electrical machinery, fish, seafood, and agricultural products will get free access to Indian markets. And we expect Indian exports of diamonds, jewelry, textiles, and apparel to rapidly rise during the next couple of years. I'd like to leave this part of the presentation more to the expert, which is Nevin Gadi. But if you're doing business with India, my basic suggestions would be do your initial research with the trade office, which is based out of India, a Canadian trade office, which is there. But having said that, please don't assume that they can give you all the answers. They can only provide you information. You need the expertise of organizations like the BDC. I'm not trying to sell the BDC. It's just that I do work with the BDC and I can see the value add that organizations and experts like the BDC have to offer. I'm working with them on a couple of clients, with a couple of clients right now. I'm also working independently on a couple of assignments. I was in India for 10 days just for this, and would suggest that you should work with specialists in specific fields to get the maximum out of your entry into India. To conclude, I'd just like to say a journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step. The fact that all of you are here today is step number 1. Thank you.